Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. How are we doing out there in podcast listening land? I pray that this show is finding everybody doing just swell after the Easter break. Some people are on spring break. Now we are prepping for the upcoming summer season. A lot of family vacation time, a lot of traveling, maybe. I don't know. You know, I have no idea. This year for me, I really don't have anything planned this year. I know next month we're going on a vacation, a little mini vacation. But as far as the summer is concerned, we really don't have a summer vacation planned this year. And I think that's because I've gotten to the point, I've gotten to the age where I don't like to drive as much, because I don't fly. I'm not a flyer, so uh, we drive wherever we go. Well, this vacation we're taking next month is my first time on a plane. We're taking to the friendly skies. Now, everybody else in my house has been on an airplane. Uh, my wife and my girls, they've flown. I'm not into flying. I just don't fly. And so we're gonna test this out. This is sort of a test run. This trip that we're taking next month, and see how that goes. If it goes well, then we'll start traveling more by aeroplane. But as far as me driving, it had it's run its course. I'm tired of driving. We went to the Rocky Mountains for New Year's, and that was a drive that the drive wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't a bad drive. It was just long, and I felt it. I really felt it. Normally, we'll take a trip or whatever, it'll be all right. But this time, or last time when we went, I felt it every mile that we went. I was just exhausted, and I'm like, I can't do it. I cannot take long trips in a car anymore. And so, this little trip came along, where my wife wanted to go where we was going. I'm not going to reveal where we're going just yet. I'll save that for another show. But I decided, you know what? You only live once. Let's do it. Let's go ahead. Uh, One of the things about driving is that I don't know. It's maybe because I'm getting older. Of course, I've always been like this, but it's getting worse now. Is road rage. I get a lot of road rage as of late. I don't know if I'm becoming an honorary old man or whatever the case may be. If I get cut off or somebody's driving slow in front of me or whatever the case may be, making a turn without using their signal lights, you know what I'm saying? Driving slow in the far left lane, which is the passing lane. There's stuff like that drives me up the wall. And I cannot take driving. And that's just me going back and forth to work. So taking long trips really sticks in my craw. So today, in honor of a TV miniseries that I watched with the family over Easter week, I decided, you know what? We're going to discuss road rage today and really break down what road rage is and what even causes it in the different types of road rage that I think everybody experiences. This isn't just exclusive to certain individuals. Everybody has experienced some form of road rage or has been a victim of road rage. And in honor of this subject, of this topic that we're discussing today, we're going to talk about the TV miniseries that premiered on Netflix over the just this past week, Beef, which stars Stephen Yang and Ali Wan. And well, I'll get into it when we discuss the show. But let's discuss a little road rage here. In case you don't know what road rage is, which I don't know how you don't know. Either you don't drive or you just don't drive. I don't know. You've never been in a car before. But road rage is an aggressive or an angry behavior established by motorists. These behaviors include rude and verbal insults, yelling, physical threats, or dangerous driving methods. Swerving in front of people, darting in front of people, stuff like that, in which you target other drivers or pedestrians or people on bicycles in an effort to intimidate or release frustration. Road rage can lead to altercations. It can lead to damages of property, assaults, collisions, serious physical injuries, or even, believe it or not, death. There was an incident that took place, I think, about 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I don't remember exactly, but there was a football player by the name of Joe McKnight who is from down here. Actually, he was born. We share the same hometown of Kenner, and I know his family. I ain't know too much know him. He's younger than me, but I know of him. I remember him when he played football and whatnot. And I think my wife knowed him. I think they all lived around the same area. I think she even walked him to elementary school, because he was the same age as her little sisters and brother. But anywho, he was involved in a road rage incident that led to his untimely demise. And that struck me at that moment because I was really, really bad with road rage around that time. Even worse than I am now. It hasn't went anywhere. I still get angry. But at the same time, that really, hit close to home, I guess you could say, to whereas I'm like, man, I can get shot by a fool over, I don't know, anything, whatever happened on that incident. And I'm going to go over that incident that took place. This took place December the 1st of 2016. So yeah, I went too far off it. Yeah. Joe McKnight was fatally shot by 54-year-old Ronald Gasser at an intersection in, Terrytown. And Terrytown is across the river from us. It's the West Bank. For those of you who are not familiar with the New Orleans area, in which is described as a road rage shooting. McKnight exited his vehicle and approached Gasser's car when he was shot by Gasser, who was still in his own vehicle. An initial media report based on alleged eyewitness accounts claimed that after firing the initial shot, Gasser stood over Joe McKnight's body and said, "I told you to stay the F away from me," after which he fired another shot. However, this scenario was disputed by the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, which stated that forensic evidence suggests Gasser fired the shots in quick succession from inside his car. Gasser remained at the scene and turned in his gun to the police department. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office took Gasser into custody for questioning and released him without pressing charges while investigating the case. Gasser was arrested for manslaughter on December 5th, 2016, but was indicted by a grand jury on the more serious charge of second-degree murder on February the 2nd, 2017. On January 26, 2018, Gasser was acquitted of murder, but found guilty of manslaughter by a 10-2 verdict, and was sentenced to 30 years in prison 2 months later on March the 15th. The conviction by a 10-2 verdict and sentencing, however, was set aside as a result of the Ramos versus Louisiana ruling by the United States Supreme Court, which declared that a non-unanimous criminal conviction verdict in the 6th and 14th Amendments. Because the decision was made retroactive, all defendants who had not exalted appeals had their convictions set aside for new trials, and Gasser was granted a new trial shortly after the Ramos decision. A separate case, Edwards versus Vanoni, will address the issue for those who had already exalted appeals. However, because of double jeopardy, Gasser can only face manslaughter and not murder charges on retrial. After this, Gasser remains in prison awaiting his retrial. On December of 2022, Gasser accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Now, for those who are uninitiated, there is much more to this. If you're in the know, especially if you live around this area, you know that there's so much that took place during that incident in 2016 and in 2017 that makes you scratch your head. You know, the mere fact that he was only brought in for questioning, then he was let go. You know, no charges, no nothing. And then the sheriff around that time, you know, who I can't stand. I couldn't stand. He's not the sheriff of Jefferson Parish any longer, but he was an idiot. You know, it was just a lot of foolishness that went into that case, which I'm not going to dive into because that's not what the show about today. But it was just a lot of foolishness that went on with that. That led to eventually finally getting justice, even now with this sentencing. I think it's pretty fair. You know, I don't think the man woke up in intent to kill Joe McKnight. I don't think he meant to kill him when he did, but whatever the case may be, you know, he has to do his time. He has to do some type of time. The problem in most of these cases is that people get off free. And the little tidbit that I didn't mention, which you probably can tell, Joe McKnight was black. Ronald Gasser is white. So take that with what you will. But in any event, yeah, that is a one example of an actual road rage situation. There are different types of road rage. Road rage can include shouting, excessive use of horn, you know, not the toot toot. I'm talking, you know, laying into the horn, you know, the obscene gestures or threat, you know, the finger, you know, those that just, because I'm pretty sure that we have driven next to somebody or somebody flipped you the bird from out the back seat or something stupid, hung their hand out the window and hit you with it. You know, I don't know what it is about that finger. That finger has caused a lot of deaths in this world. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. I'm not laughing at because it's true. A lot of people have died over a finger because people just, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know how to describe it. I've never done that. Now I've gotten mad, you know. I got mad and cursed out the steering wheel because I couldn't tell them nothing. But I've never just thrown. Oh, I'll throw my hand up like that. Like what are you doing? You know, that type of motion. But I never stuck the bird at nobody. But it's just something about that is kind of childish in a way. It is like. Is it that serious, man? Is it really that serious? Another example of road rage is actions such as cutting off another vehicle, driving closely, you know, tailgating is what they call it in some circles of the world, blocking another vehicle so they couldn't use the other travel lane, or chasing another vehicle or running a vehicle off the road, or deliberately slamming into a vehicle. I've seen all these. I've witnessed all that. I remember one time, this was years ago, I was working for this company. I was the delivery driver, and I'm just going up the expressway, and this car, like a little Honda Civic or something, cut off this 18 wheeler. And I mean, you could barely squeeze a loose leaf piece of paper between the his back bumper and the 18 wheeler's front fender. I mean, it was that close. And the dude in 18 wheeler wouldn't let it go. And he chased this dude down the expressway. They're weaving in and out of traffic and going up on the median and all of, I mean, they just chasing. I don't know what happened because they got too far ahead of me, and I definitely weren't. I was trying to stay clear of the other cars, trying to dodge them because they didn't care. They didn't care who else was on the road. And really what was going through my mind, like, where are the cops? Now, you can catch me without my seatbelt, but you cannot catch these people doing this. Boy, that got me mad. I got mad at that. So, yeah, man, it's just wow what people would do. Um, Another example is another thing that I saw before is stopping a vehicle on the side or in the middle of the road, exiting the vehicle, threatening and attacking, or even a fight breaks out, or somebody ends up getting shot, just like R.I.P. to Joe McKnight, stuff like that. It over getting cut off, you know. And when you really sit back and think about it, is it that serious? Is it that serious? I know we all go through bad days. Had a bad day at work. You and your wife got into it. You and your husband get into it. The kids are driving you up the wall. You go to the grocery store, load up the basket, get to the cashier, and you don't have enough in the bank or whatever. You got to put stuff back. Things like that. Look, I've been there. I've had bad days. We all had bad days. And the worst thing you can do is hop behind the wheel of a car. It's like drinking. It's the same. It's pretty much the same effect. I don't know if anger and drinking release the same endorphins in your brain to make you click out, but it's the same results. You're inebriated, and I know I said that wrong. You it's like you're drunk. You're not thinking straight. When you're drunk, you're not thinking straight. You can't see clearly, and that's how a lot of accidents happen. Same thing with road rage, same thing with anger. You get behind the wheel of the car, you're angry, you see red, you flash out, and it happens. That's why sometimes you just got to take a breath. Like when I have a bad day at work, what I learned to do is like I just sit in the car for a minute. I sit in my truck before I pull off and just breathe because I need to decompress before I hit the road. And it took me a while to learn that. Normally I be in a rush. I'm so mad. I'm trying to get away from there, and I just peel out the parking lot and I'm mad. I want to hurt my boss or something, and the first time somebody cuts me off, all I can see is my balls. I'm flashed out now, so sometimes you just have to decompress, and then just woosah and then hit the road. Now that's not going to stop people from driving like idiots. People drive like idiots is the biggest pet peeve in my life, or one of them, because I have many. But that's one of the biggest pet peeves. For example, if you're on the interstate and the speed limit is 70 and somebody in front of you is doing 60, that's just a button for me. That is a button that you should not push. Do 70. Do the speed limit. I understand you're not doing anything wrong per se. Now, I do have exceptions. See, I'm an exceptional road rager. I can see the forest for the trees. Sometimes you get on the interstate or you get on whatever, a boulevard, whatever it may be, and it's a student driving. It's one of those student drivers, little kids or whatever, trying to get their license. They're nervous behind the wheel. I see they driving slow. Now, the only reason I know that because it's written on the car. So I can kind of accept it. Now I get around them. I get from behind them, but I don't get mad. But it's the ones that I know that have been driving for years and they just drive slow. People on the phone, the phones are the worst thing now. The phones are the thing that's really getting people hurt out here. I actually one time this woman was in front of me and she was on the phone and she didn't have it up to her ear. She had it on speaker. And I need people to realize when you have your phone on speaker, you don't have to have the phone up to your mouth. Okay, they can hear you. You can have it a good distance away. You can put it down on the dashboard or something. They can hear you. I promise you. It's all right. And nowadays, every car has a Bluetooth, so there's really no excuse. But in any event, she had the phone up to her mouth talking, and she's hitting brakes while she talk. We're on the interstate. Everybody's doing 70 or 80 miles per hour. I wasn't, the fact that she was in front of me, I could see what she was doing, but the car behind me couldn't. So now I'm getting mad because you're going to kill me. You're going to get me killed while you on the phone fussing or talk. I don't know what she was doing, but you can see her head moving and all this other stuff. So I know she was in the argument. And so it was like, man, when you get off the road, when you just get off the road, if it's that serious, pull over to the shoulder and finish your conversation because you're going to kill somebody. I know you're probably on the way to kill somebody, but don't kill nobody on your way to your ultimate goal, namely me. And so that's my thing with that. I look, and I need to get better. God knows I need to get better with how my anger is. My wife tells me that all the time. See, I got a habit of I don't do any gestures. I won't yell. I don't do none of that. But if somebody do something like cut me off or hit brakes suddenly in front of me or just do something stupid, I would politely get alongside of them and just look at them, just give them that look. And my wife tells me all the time, somebody's going to shoot you one day because you don't know what these people are doing. You don't know what they have in their car or whatever. And so I'm trying to get better. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, somebody probably would. So I'm trying to get better, but I can't help it. I just want to see your face, and it's just a thing. It's a thing that I have to work on. But I don't take it to that. I don't take it to that point. I've never figured to take it to that point unless you try to intentionally run me off the road or something like that. Then we're gonna have to dance. I'm gonna have to put the paws on you at that point. But yeah, road rage is something serious. It's a very serious thing, and it happens more often than you think. These incidents, just like what happened to Joe McKnight down here, it happens very, very frequently because people drive like they own the road. They drive like they've lost their minds as of late. And that's what I was getting from this show. And this show was such a joy to watch, man. It's disturbing. It's funny. It's thoughtful. It's even sweet at points. And it just caught me off guard. And I think it's one of the best shows that Netflix has ever put out. And it is Beef. Beef is an American comedy drama miniseries created by Lee Chang-jin for Netflix. It stars Steven Yeun and Ali Wong as two people whose involvement in a road rage incident begins to consume their lives. What a show. What a show. I had started watching the show. I was like 2 to 3 episodes in, and my daughter came in, because they were home for spring break. And she was like, what you want? I wanted us all to watch it together. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I had to stop because I was into it, man. I mean, it was that good. And so I had to stop it, rewatched the first couple of episodes, and we blazed through it And man, I absolutely love this show. I'm a huge fan of Stephen Yeun. Um, from The Walking Dead, Glenn from The Walking Dead. He also provides the voice of Invincible on Invincible, along with other projects he's been involved with. Ali Wong, I know her as a comedian. You know, I know her, but I never really sat down and watched any of her specials or nothing like that. But I know of her. So this was the first exposure I've gotten of Ali Wong. And so I, I can honestly say I've become a fan of hers, from this show. What I loved about this show, as I said, is a comedy drama. It is a perfect balance of both. I mean, perfect balance of both. And that's a testament to the writing and the directing of each episode. There are 10 episodes in this season. Each episode is 30 minutes long. So, like I said, you can just fly through it in one evening if you would like. I mean, it's very consumable. Along with Stephen Yan and Ali Wong, supporting in this show, you have Joseph Lee, David Chow, Ashley Park, Maria Bello, and many more. This is a very extreme take of a road incident, or road rage incident, I should say. This this beef lasts for like a year or so, because there's a time jump in there, but it is real beef, man. This is a real raw show. It is raw, and it is. I wasn't expect. I mean, it truly caught me off guard on how raw this show was. Stephen Yang portrays this character Danny, who's a contractor, and he's a good guy. Honestly, man, he is a true blue good guy. Somebody you just, of course, Stephen Yang got that face. You just got to cheer for him. Of course, I got a soft spot in my heart for him from The Walking Dead. I always loved Stephen Yang, and this show really showcased all of his talents. But yeah, he's a contractor doing odd jobs, trying to, do the best he can to provide for his family, mainly his younger brother. They used to help run a motel with their parents, but they end up losing that motel because of a cousin of theirs who was running illegal stuff through there, and the police raided, so they had to shut it down, and their parents went back to Korea, and they stayed there, trying to, live the dream. And Danny is trying to, get enough money so he can build a house for his parents to come back home and all this here. And it's hard for him to find work. He's doing everything right. He's trying to do everything the right way. And he comes across the character Amy after he tries to return some hibachi grills at this store. He didn't have the receipt. At least he thought he didn't have the receipt. We find out in later episodes that the receipt was in the bag the whole time. But anywho's, he couldn't return them. He gets back in the car, his truck. Now he's mad. Now he has this bad day. It's already there. The fumes are already lit. The fuse is already lit, I should say. And he's backing out the parking lot, and Amy drives behind and just lays into the horn. And now he's like, what? He's already hot. And then this takes place. Now he's even more upset. So she gets from behind him, and here comes the dreaded finger out the window, the middle finger. Pow. And it just snapped. He just snapped. It was like, that's that. And this high-speed chase took place throughout residential neighborhoods. They're running across people's yards, not running, but driving across people's yards to cut the other off, and all this. I mean, my God, it was just insane how this incident took place. But it looks fantastical, but this is real. This is real how people flip out like this in the car. And so he gets her license plate number, finds out where she lives and all this here. And at first he thought it was a guy because he never saw her. He never saw her face. And so he thought it was the guy. He gets to the house. It is just Amy, who is portrayed by Ali Wong. And Ali Wong, she owns this, I don't know, what is it? Some type of sculpture place. I forgot what she owned. It was some type of business that she runs. And, she's trying to get this deal done with this rich woman who's portrayed by Mia Bello. And she's married. She has a daughter, her husband is this son of a rich or a famous sculptor, so he always had money, and she had to work her way up, so the struggle was real for her, but not so much for her husband, who is just the most unrealistic husband of all time. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's the way the character is. He's just gullible. He's just a real gullible guy, and just too nice. He's so nice is sickening. That type of gullible. So, he takes the daughter to school. So when Danny gets to the house, it's just Amy who has the gun. She went into the safe and she has a gun and she's basically masturbating with the gun. And so Danny interrupts that, and Danny comes, he says he's a contractor and blah, blah, blah. And, sees the car there. He recognized the car, like, oh, this your husband's car? And you're like, no, it's my car. And so at that point he realized, no, it wasn't the husband. It was her. And so he asks to use the bathroom. He goes in the bathroom and he pees all over the floor and runs out the house. She sees all the pee on the floor, so she runs after him. And while he hops in his truck and drives off, she gets his license plate number. So now she knows who he is. So now here comes the beef. Now it's the back and forth. And it's so much more that takes place here. I'm not going to go beat by beat with the show because we'll be here forever. But that's how it all kicks off. That's the first episode. So after that, the insanity ensues. It's back and forth. She starts. She ends up getting involved with his younger brother, with Danny's younger brother, which leads to an affair. She sleeps with the boy in a way to get back at him. She was trying to catfish him, and they end up communicating, and she kind of got a little feeling for him, and so, and that led to an affair. He lost his business, had to get apply for another employee license or however it go, and had to use the shady cousin and all this other foolishness. And it was just back and forth to the point where houses are getting robbed. Amy mother-in-law ends up in the hospital from falling down the stairs, and she loses her business, ends up getting a divorce because he finds out about the affair with Danny's brother, and then the house that he built from the money he stole from the cousin ends up burning down. The cousin gets out of prison, wants to kill him. So much. I mean, all this stemming from this one road rage incident, and it all makes sense. And that's what I enjoyed about this the most, how smart this show was. All of this is feasible because it started off, it's like that metaphor that a lot of people use, rolling a pebble down a hill or down a mountain, and by the time it gets to the end of the mountain is a boulder. And that's exactly what happened. It started off as a pebble and it just rolled down the hill until it was this giant boulder. People died. People died here. There was shootouts with the police. There was so much. A woman gets cut in half by a door. I mean, it was so much going on, all because of this incident. And the acting from Stephen Yang and Ali Wong are Emmy worthy. I honestly can say that you sympathize with both of them. At points, certain episodes, one could be the protagonist, the other could be the antagonist, and then we get to the next episode and they switch it up. Danny's the antagonist and Amy's the protagonist. They'll go back and forth, and you feel it from both of them, and you feel both of their point of views. And when we get to the end of this show in episode 10, and they finally have an actual adult conversation, and they come to realize that they're more alike than anything. And, after all this carnage that took place, it's just wild how this show worked. I love the performance by each and every individual here. The standout would have to be Ali Wong. She really killed it in this role. As I said before, I haven't watched any of her comedy specials. I plan to now, but I don't know what type of comedy she's known for, or what's her style or anything. But her dramatic chops on here was amazing. She was really killing it in this role. Stephen Yang, I mean, the dude was awesome. As this down on his luck everyman, just a guy. Just a guy trying to do everything right. He ended up going to church, joining the praise team, and all this other stuff. I mean, he tried everything to change. Tried everything to be a good guy. And he just suffered, and you can see yourself in him. It was just amazing. The cousin, portrayed by David Cho, who portrays Isaac, had some real scene stealing, if not episode stealing, performances throughout this season. I really loved his character. He started off as kind of the comic relief, and he ended up being just menace, a real turn. And it wasn't just a turn on a dime, like some characters you'll see on TV shows and movies, just a twist, just to be a twist. But no, this actually progressed from episode 1 all the way to episode 9, I think it was, and you believed it. And the moral of this whole thing is, I believed everything about this. Nothing was out of the box, even though, a lot of stuff was embellished. A lot of stuff was just extreme, is the way I can say it. It took it to those heights where people actually lost their lives. People houses burnt down, people marriages ended, and all this other stuff, all because of this road rage incident that took place in episode 1. And it all makes sense. None of it you'll sit back and be like, oh, there's no way that it couldn't went that far. No, it did, because every stage just got worse. Now I have to one up you you know what I'm saying? That's how it got to that point. And the ending, I know the ending would probably be a little divisive for a lot of people. I actually love the ending. It's a stand up and clap ending for me. I actually love the ending of this show. But like I said, love the performances. The writing and directing were pitch perfect. I think this is one of the best shows to come out of Netflix in the last few years. And I know we're not going to get a season 2, but I wouldn't mind seeing more stories like this. Probably with different characters. They can do like an anthology type like American Horror Story. Every season is a different story or different characters. That would be interesting. And so, hey, it's worth a shot. But if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Beef, which is now available on Netflix, gets a letter grade of a B plus. Really, really good show. I want more of it. That's that's probably why it's a B plus. Probably would have got an A plus if it was more. I wish the episodes were like an hour. As soon as you're super into the episode, it ends. It's only 30 minutes long. But I like it. It's not too long. It's not too short. It's actually a perfect runtime. I was just selfish. I wanted more. But you can't always get what you want. In any event, how did you like Beef if you've seen Beef? If you haven't seen Beef, check out Beef. Really, really good show. I enjoyed it. Very funny too. I failed to mention that. Yeah, it's serious. It had a lot of drama throughout it. I touched a little bit on the comedy, but there's a lot of comedy here. Like I said, perfectly balanced. Really good show. I cannot scream it from the mountaintop loud enough. I would like to know how you felt about it. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. Also, look me up on Twitter at KB Radio Network. And on other social media platforms, just look up the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever it is you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. And don't forget, everybody, we are on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, ma'am, sir. Everybody, thank you for joining me today. Look, be safe on the roads, people. Temper your anger, woosah some, relax, people, and just drive like normal human beings. Stop driving like you're the only one on the road. That can cut down some of these crazies. You can trigger somebody by the dumb stuff that you do. I say that as somebody who just this morning got cut off to the point I had to slam on brakes to stop from running into the back of this person and wanted to kill. I initially wanted to kill because you almost killed me. It is. I don't know, man. I think now, like I said to start off the show, driving is just not for me. I'm gonna start Ubering or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start taking taxis and all this here because I can't get behind the wheel, bro. People are driving me insane. By the way they drive. And so people, please just relax behind the wheel of the car. Be mindful of other drivers. That's the best advice I can give you about trying to prevent road rage. But anywho's, thank you all for joining me for this episode of Movie Goodness. I'm glad that y'all checked me out today. If this is your first time, welcome to the show. I hope I said something today that'll make you want to continue to check out Movie Goodness and all the other programs here on the KB Radio Network. I greatly appreciate it. And for all of you who are returning, who are constant listeners to the show, I love you all. Thank you for continuing to support the KB Radio Network. Everybody, want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.